Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you've never watched any of my videos before, I'll just bring you up to speed. This is my 1971 F100. It has a supercharged LS swap. It's a 6-liter. And I just got finished putting in a 2017 Mustang independent rear suspension. So that is completely done now. So the next step up in this truck, well, I should also mention too, is while I was doing that, I cut the bed down, took it from an 8-foot bed down to a short box, and rework the frame. You'll have to watch my videos so you'll see what's happened. It's been a pretty major project over this winter. So now the truck sits nice and low on the back just like I wanted. Still sits like a dump truck up front. So we're going to fix that with the contents of these boxes. We have a coilover kit complete with adjustable Viking coilovers. We have a pair of Corvette C5 brake calipers, new set of pads to go with those, and also a set of new GT500 Mustang disc brakes. I guess to make that all work too, I kind of forgot about this part. There's also a set of brackets that I bought to make the brake calipers fit, but really nice too. Bought them off a guy on Facebook. I have no idea what the guy's name is. I actually went back and tried to find it for somebody who asked me some questions on YouTube, and it seems like the guy's disappeared from Facebook. So lucky for me, I got them. Unlucky for you if you want them. But I know some guys on the Marauder and Crown Vic forums have done this swap before, so maybe somebody over there knows where to get the brackets, but you'll have to figure it out. So for now, I'm going to show everybody how to do this install on here as I figure it out. Coilovers for sure. I'm not 100% sure the brakes are going to go today because I don't know if I need different brake lines. But if the brake lines work, I will be swapping the calipers as well. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is open some boxes. Who doesn't like opening boxes? This is pretty great. These are the Viking coilovers, double adjustable. And they come from a guy on Facebook. His name is Andrew Peterson. He's been building these kits, and he built a whole bunch of them. I don't know how many exactly, but the guy's been really busy. So it did take a little while to get them, but hopefully the wait was worth it. And let's check them out. Pretty excited about these guys. Got some instructions, a Viking sticker to go with my other one, some paper. Got some spanners to adjust the springs on the coilovers. And the big daddies. Very well packaged. There it is. That is right there. Oh, some spacers. That is a coilover and mount designed to bolt into the Crown Victoria front suspension. And that's going to bolt right in the front of this truck because that's what it has for suspension. So this should be a direct replacement for the strut that's in there. The front end under this truck is a P71, which is the cop car front suspension. And well, it rides okay. It's super stiff, like super stiff. When you set the truck down, it barely drops at all. So I'm really looking forward to having the adjustability on the compression and rebound here. That's probably going to take some tinkering to figure out, but all in all, pretty excited. So let's get the truck taken apart and bolt these guys in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and knock these top strut mounts loose. And I'll do the same, taking the bottom bolt out down there as well. And it looks like we're probably going to have to split this top ball joint just to allow this control arm to come up out of our way. And hopefully I can bring the strut out the front or out the side here. And I don't think this is going to be too hard a job at all. But every time I say that, it usually bites me in the ass. So let's just get started and get it taken apart. This would be a lot easier to do if I had my Milwaukee ratchet working. And here's so many good things about them online. Everybody always praises them up. But I managed to break mine within weeks. And I was pretty disappointed. I wasn't even pulling on it very hard. But this ratchet wrench does the trick too. Just a little harder doing it the Stone Age way. I guess we got a ratchet wrench, so we're a bit of an advantage there. Could be doing it with old box end, but it'd be nice to have some power tools to make this work. Oh, why did they put longer bolts in here, I wonder? So we could crank on this a little bit longer. Okay, I got the caliper loose here, and doesn't want to let go of the brake rotor. This is strange. Alright, here we go. I brought over a bungee to just tie this sucker up so it doesn't. Where are we gonna hook that? Doesn't hang on the hose, but yeah, it's not really any pressure on the hose there. Brake rotor off. And then now I'm going to pull this bar, or this bolt here, which is the sway bar link, so I can actually get a socket on this, so I can get that upper ball joint knocked loose. 14. And that was a 18 millimeter on the bolts that hold the caliper on. Let's see what happens here. That's what I thought was going to happen. There we go. Sway bar's loose. Get that link out of there. Come on. Give me a hammer. Well, that might even be enough right there. Nope. Why is that link so hard to take out? Just because the sway bar is connected on the other side at the same time? Let's see if we can pry that out of there one way or another. Something to hit it with. Not entirely sure why that's so hard to get out, but it is. Look at that, we're on, we're in. Let's go for a longer extension. Hopefully hitting it with the air impact versus trying to turn it with a wrench. We'll spin it hard enough to get that top ball joint loose. Maybe I'm doing it all wrong, who knows? Not this guy. Yeah, and we still got the same problem. Okay, now if you're really paying attention, you can tell that I've moved on to the other side. I went ahead and completed the installation on the other side and got my butt kicked for a little while because I couldn't get that lower strut bolt out. I beat the snot out of it with a sledge. So bad I mushroomed the end of it. I had to grind it down. It just sucked. Just like I said was going to happen because I thought it'd be an easy job. So if you never pulled a ball joint out of the front of one of these cars, the Crown Vic front end, I've had no luck at just putting an impact on and running that nut off, but it does have a hex head or an Allen key in the end of the ball joint that you can put a ratchet in, and that's a T6, and then you take your 24 mil wrench and you just twist it off. Right, you could kind of work the ratchet a bit too, that works fine. And then you just keep going until you get the nut loose enough so that you can knock it off. This one's pretty loose now. Probably just spin it with the wrench. But otherwise the ball joint just sits there and spins, and no luck. And look at that, it's all apart. So, piece of cake there. We got our upper nuts off on the strut, and we're gonna go ahead and pull, let's see if we get more light here, pull the bolt out of the bottom, which is, you'll need a 24 deep socket, which I think I left mine on the other side. Okay, I've got my 24 deep socket, and I'm just going to put that on the end of my impact. The bolt is captured on that lower strut mount bolt, so you can just go ahead and put an impact on the nut and just run it off. No big deal. Now this is where I ran into trouble on the other side, where I got all heated. Oh, another good tip, just to make life easy, I found, just go ahead and take the sway bar right off the frame. I let it drop and I just pulled it out of my way. It was tripping me up on the other side, and for the 2 minutes it takes to take it off, saves you your knuckles, saves a whole bunch of extra work. Trying to get this stuff through all the traffic that makes it that sway bar in there. So now I got my sledge, and I'm going to try to knock this bolt out. I did put some penetrating lube on this side, which made the ball joint come off a lot easier. It got all galled up on the other side. I don't know, hopefully some worked in there. I can get this bolt out. Yeah, and just like the other side, it's not moving a bit. So I think I'm gonna put that nut back on. Yeah, maybe not. Take a bungee and tie this out of my way so I quit smacking it with the sledge. That didn't work. Turn off this. And if you look here, you can see the offensive bolt. That again, I'm just going to keep beating the snot out of it until it comes out. Seems to be the only thing you could do. I tried putting my air ratchet on the other, I tried putting my air chisel on the other side, air hammer, just to try to beat it back. But it's so frozen inside that lower shock. I mean, I have no idea how many miles this front end has. Seems pretty tight, but we are in northern Alberta and things get pretty stuck. So who knows the whole history on this front end. It's probably never been apart. Here we go. Just gonna beat it to death. Into hammering position here. That is a workout, and it has not even moved. The other side, I put the torch on it for a while. I don't know if that made any difference. Just a little propane torch. So. Well, let's get the torch again. It doesn't seem like this one's coming either. Maybe the torch helped. Listen to me grunt and groan as I crawl around on this thing, doing all this stupid stuff I should be paying somebody else to do, but I'm both too stubborn and too picky to let anybody else work on my stuff. So I'm generally never happy with the work anybody else does, and too broke to pay anybody. So get to do everything myself, but in the end I can say I built quite the machine all by myself, and that makes me feel good. There is a lot of satisfaction in building these things. There's a ton of frustration in getting the work done sometimes, especially with old trucks, but I enjoy the challenge of figuring stuff out. So we'll see what some heat does on this. Maybe we can get that bolt out, take a little nap right here and just hang. See good heat to this. All right, got about half out. Put some air tools to it. Oh, thank God. That was a nightmare. It'll be pretty sore tomorrow, let me tell you, after beating that thing out of there. But it's out. All right. Let this all drop. Highly recommend you get yourself a good pry bar before you start a job like this. Sometimes it makes all the difference in the world. But now, everything's loose. We gotta get this upper control arm up and the strut down to get this all out of here. Come on, you stupid thing. Yes. No. Yes. No. Why? Why do I make this so hard on myself? Bend up the dust shield on the brakes while we're at it. This is not as easy of a job as I expected it to be. Changed lots of struts, but I've never done one of these. They are a pain in the butt. Thankfully, the new strut goes in way easier. Whoa. Hang on. There we go. Whew. This is fun. Now the strut's all the way down through the control arm, and it doesn't really feel like coming back up through the control arm. Why? Why are you being this way? Oh, because you're all buggered from some idiot beating on the pole. Really? Oh, that lower control arm is pinched in a little bit there from me beating on it probably. And now. There we go. Come on. All right, and you take this thing and you throw it across the shop because it makes you feel better. All right, time for the new strut. And lots of anti-seize. Because if I'm taking these things out ever again, I do not want to go through this same. Okay. And like I mentioned on the other side, I beat this bolt so badly that I'm not sure the nut's going to go back on it. I may have to do like I did with the other one. Yeah, see that? I'm going to have to go over and grind the mushroomed part off here just so I can get the nut back on. But that's how hard I had to beat that thing. I mean, I didn't record the whole thing, but I probably hit it 100 times. And I put as much heat to it as I could with my little propane torch, but that was pretty much useless. But it's out now. It's getting coated in anti-seize. As soon as I clean up this end, I'm going to bolt this all back together. Okay, so I've got the anti-seize here. I'm just going to paint this thing lots and lots of anti-seize. Because, like I said, I don't ever want to have to take this apart again and have it be this much trouble. I couldn't tell you why that thing was stuck so bad, but both sides, so what can you do? But everything I take apart, I put back together with anti-seize. I go through tons of this stuff. Makes you look like the Tin Man when you're done just because it sticks to everything. But for the sake of frustration later on, I'm sure I've saved myself some when it's come time to take something else apart. But there it is, all gooped up. Okay, so with this strut, there's 2 spacers. And they go, of course, on either side of the strut. So the first thing I'm going to do is just stick the bolt in far enough to get one of the spacers hung on it. And then I will put the strut in. Yeah, I can just kind of hang out there. Wipe my hand off of this moving blanket, which I gotta say, these moving blankets are the greatest thing ever if you work on the shop floor. I don't know about you guys, but my shop floor is always filthy, no matter how many times I clean it. Partly because we park in here. Or at least my girlfriend does. But that's one of the things where you live in a super cold climate. In the winter, parking inside is not just a luxury, but it's almost a necessity. And, you know, it saves your vehicles. I don't care what anybody says. I've heard it both ways. But we've got one car that's barely been serviced or washed. I gotta admit, we haven't been that nice to it. It's a little Toyota, and it's not rusty at all. It's really held up well. So, all right, my cleaned up bolt is in there. I'm gonna grab my impact, send that guy home. Because from here, everything is just the reverse of what we took apart. I don't know if I mentioned it already, but on the compression and rebound settings, I just turned them up both 5 clicks. I think they go 8. I'm just gonna start there and see how it feels, and go from there. All right, that's good there. Torqued to perfect torque spec of whenever I feel like letting go of the trigger on my impact. Put these nuts on up top again. Ratcheting wrenches, these ones aren't selectable, you just flip them over. But hey, when you're cheap and you've always wanted a set of ratchet wrenches, these are the ones you get. There we go. All 3 nice and tight. Hat tip to Andrew Peterson. These things fit beautifully. The brackets have really nice welding. I'm totally impressed. Next thing I'm gonna do is try to get this ball joint back in place. Sometimes the easiest is to put a jack under it, but my jack's at least 6 feet away, so I'm gonna just torture myself a little bit here and put it together like this. Well, maybe not. With the help of Mr. Prybar, we can do anything. There we go. Oop. And I set the nut where? Here it is. Now, maybe on this side we'll get lucky like I did on the other side, and I didn't have to do the whole Allen key song and dance. And I was able just to hit it with the impact long enough that it had enough friction in here and it managed to get it done up. Let's try it again, because that Allen key thing is kind of a pain in the butt, as is my impact. That the worst time getting this extension on it. There we go. Hammering on my Canadian Tire cheapo sockets, which I've been doing for years, and they stood up just fine. Thank you. All right, good to go. So now I'm gonna put the sway bar back in, and then the brakes. And I had to just put it back together with the factory brakes for now. My big brake kit, I'm gonna have to buy brake lines for it. Totally different style of brake line. I didn't really realize that, never really thought about it, but I'll get those ordered up and throw them on sometime in the next couple of weeks. But right now, I just want to drive this truck. It's been like 9 months since I drove it last time, and that is way too long. Considering I owned it less time than that before I drove it the first time, after doing this motor swap and the front end swap and swappity swap. It's a 14 mil here, I think, 15 mil. Again, just gonna send her home with the impact. There we go. Okay, that's done. Brakes. I'm gonna throw the rotor back on. And then we're gonna throw the caliper back on. Easier just to turn the steering that way to make this all happen. I don't know what it is about brake caliper brackets, but I always have the worst time trying to line them up. Like right now. Why do you want to be there? There you go. Oh, first try. Bolt dropped right in. That never happens to me. See about the bottom one here. You gonna play fair too? Oh yeah. No, maybe not. Come on. All right, we're both started. I think those were an 18 mil Yeah, 18 mil. Let's get those started. You can take your impact to those again. Worked with lots of guys that would want to put a torque wrench on all this, and if it was maybe somebody else's, I would, but I'm not that worried. There we go, torque to spec. And that's it, it's done. Well, other than I got to bolt the sway bar back up front, but that's no big deal. And the next step is going to be setting the ride height. I set the spring on there just now so that there is just a little bit of tension on it to keep it from popping off up here. I hope that's low enough. I don't really want to unload the spring completely. If that's the case, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do there. But yeah, I don't know. I'll get the sway bar bolted back up and get this truck sitting on the ground. Okay, there we are. I picked the back end up about 1 inch, just adjusting the coilovers, and the front's pretty much where it was. I just set it down and it's not too bad. So I'm gonna go for a little drive now. I'm just checking out my transmission fluid here. This will be my first drive with the new rear suspension and with the coilovers all the way around. So like I said, I'm just gonna get all my fluids checked and topped up, and then I'm gonna go for a little spin and see how everything works.